Hey, everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan. And the big news here is Softbank invests nearly $1 billion in a Silicon Valley startup called Neuro. It's a massive amount of money. The person behind Softbank is the same person who originally gave the starting capital for SBI Holdings. And his name, he is, by the way, the richest man in Japan. His name is Mr. Masayoshi Son. And this kind of investment is really shocking for the autonomous technology. It is being tested in Phoenix, Arizona right now, Scottsdale, Arizona to be exact. And they have designed this R1 robot that people say looks like a toaster on wheels to deliver groceries. Yeah, it goes about 25 miles per hour, and the test customers that are on some of the interviews are extremely happy with what it has been able to deliver thus far. And here are the original two founders. They are from Google originally. They were working on the self-driving car effort before they started their new venture company. Wow, that kind of running capital, almost $1 billion. I can't wait to see what comes out of their future developments. And speaking of running capital, there is, of course, a startup using Ripple's X-Rapid for remittances, and that's SendFriend. It was announced in the last 24 hours that they are going to get an additional $1.7 million. And, you know, I didn't know until I actually started to read this that there's a big difference between SendFriend and TransferWise. So they are focusing on the 77%, this is SendFriend, of the Filipino adults who do not have bank accounts. So this is to provide that service to the unbanked. With the TransferWise, people needed to have bank accounts, but with SendFriend, you don't have that same requirement. So this is actually, I think, going to be very popular, and I'm happy to see that they are targeting that market. And I just wanted to take a look on Crunchbase to see the list of 13 investors who brought that money to the table. Of course, there is Ripple, but what really caught my eye was the MasterCard Foundation. And this is the group that is an independent global organization. It's their segment that's up in Toronto, Canada. And I, of course, in seeing that, I started to think, well, what is happening with the bidding war between Visa and MasterCard and Earthport? So I did find a Motley Fool podcast where they talk about, of course, the deal between Earthport and Visa was supposedly inked back in December, but then MasterCard came in and outbid them with a cash offer on January 25th. So we thought, okay, that's a done deal. And actually, in this particular podcast, they said that the Earthport board was actually leaning towards MasterCard. But on Friday, we all know that Visa came in again and outbid MasterCard. So Visa has Goldman Sachs behind them, and the MasterCard group has the B of A Merrill Lynch behind them. And I think, yeah, this is getting down to a battle even beyond Visa and MasterCard. So look who was in the University of Kansas paper online today, and that is Brad Garlinghouse. He is there because the University of Kansas is one of the 11 new universities to receive money for promoting the technology, the blockchain technology among the universities. And the University of Kansas is going to get $2 million. That will come in the form of $400,000 every year. And if you didn't know, Mr. Garlinghouse is actually a native of Topeka, Kansas, and he is a Kansas City University alumnus too. So that is why I'm sure he was so happy to deliver this news in person. He received his economics degree back in 1994 before going on to Harvard. But if you are kind of curious about trivia, some of the famous people that came out of the University of Kansas are the following. There was Basketball Hall of Famer Wilt Chamberlain, of course the politician Bob Dole, and the football player Gale Sayers. So actually, when you look at all the different sectors, they have a long list of basketball players. Okay, this is kind of important. So just a couple of hours ago, the SWIFT group, this is William Raymakers. He is the head of banking markets at the SWIFT GPI program manager. Okay, so he just put out this very short 2-minute video, and it's, I think, very telling. So in this video, you'll learn, and I'll put the link down in the description, you'll learn that with the proof of concept that they're doing with R3, it's called the GPI link. And we hear from Mr. Raymakers that in this GPI link, they are addressing basically the trade ecosystem on one hand and the GPI banks on the other hand. And corporates, he says, those that use blockchain and DLT technology may be hesitant to use cryptocurrencies because of their volatility and regulatory requirements, which is why we, meaning SWIFT, developed the GPI link in order to bridge as a gateway between those trade ecosystems on one hand and the global community of GPI banks on the other hand. So in the first phase, working with R3, they are going to test how the GPI can work with the Corda platform. And then off-ledger settlement using SWIFT GPI. So a corporate using the R3 platform can initiate a payment through the GPI link to its bank, then settle using SWIFT GPI and send the credit confirmation back through the link to the platform to conclude the trade. Now, here's the most important part of what he said at the 1-minute, 22-second mark. The GPI link can work with any DLT provider and with non-DLT based platforms. They are going to announce their proof of concept results in London at Sibos in September 2019, this year. All right, so moving on. Look who this is. Do you recognize? It's Cory Johnson. Many moons ago. I think it's back from 2002 when he was doing work for CNBC as an anchor. Well, we know that he has left Ripple, and I'm sure everybody wishes him well, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he is going to embark on now. But the video I thought was really funny. When you watch it, gosh, things change so fast in just a short period of time. Okay, and you know, when you talk about Ripple and what they are doing in terms of ramping up their team to be able to handle all these new customers, we learned in episode 9 that Jim Chauncey Kelly told us, he's the director of talent, that they have 40 open positions right now at Ripple, and they are really critically looking for integration engineers who will help onboard those new customers globally. And I thought, this is interesting because I did find a tweet from an iOS developer that received an offer from Ripple last June, and he said that he had a range of $175,000 to $195,000 in an annual salary, plus an XRP bonus, or a kind of a rolled up. What's it called here? They had did they mention the coin package? So they have a coin package in addition to their salary. So that gives you an idea of the range. Boy, if you are an iOS developer, this is the time to join Ripple. All right, everybody, let's get into the fluff. So I've done something similar about this in the past, but I started to think about all those, I'm sure, warm and fuzzy feelings that Brad Garlinghouse had when he visited his alma mater in Kansas. And I thought that it would be fun to share with you some of the differences and special parts of university life for the Japanese student. And that is the leaders, or what they call the orendan. Yeah, orendan. So they are the rooters, party rooters, they say here, but they are like the cheerleaders, men, women, and of course they work hand in hand with the band, and they will provide the energy and the spirit and the enthusiasm that happens in baseball games or rugby, football, whatever it is, the sports that are competing. And this is kind of their homepage, which shows you the individual stars on the different levels of teams. They divide them by grade, actually. If you the leader here, his name is Enyuki, Enyuki On, and he is in some videos you can find on YouTube. But this is really, really special to Japan because the boy cheerleaders are very much respected. They're super cool. The girls love them, and maybe the boys love them too. They have an incredible amount of charisma and power and energy that you don't see. At least I don't see this same sort of display in the United States and anywhere else for that matter. So here is just a quick little showing of how those three groups work with each other to get the energy of the fans uplifted. He, of course, is their leader. And then you'll see they'll work together. This is probably in their gymnasium. Could be a practice, or it could be before the start of a game. Not quite sure, but interesting, huh? Yeah. And I want to show you what it looks like when they're actually at a baseball game. This is fun. This is really fun. Boy, they're burning some calories. Okay, everybody. Orendan in Japan. It's a fun part of the sports culture. All right, that's all I have for you today. Please take care. Sayonara for now. Bye-bye.